Hey, Spark Seekers! I'm Fran Malfer, your Ember Igniter, here with a spark of wisdom. My husband grew up in a Pennsylvania steel town called Johnstown. He lived in a row house and played on narrow streets just blocks from the major steel mill. Coming from an Italian and German background, most of the people living on his street were Italian and worked the mines. He took me to his hometown after we were married, and I was surprised by just how small the streets seemed and the homes were small. The mill had long since ceased operation. However, the effects of living in a smoke-filled valley were evident. He shared with me how he saw the men coming and going from various shifts throughout the day. Producing steel was the main source of income for most people living in Johnstown. I thought about all the historical pictures I'd seen of these huge pots and decided to learn more about how steel is produced. So the process of steel making involves removal of impurities from raw iron and the addition of alloy components to produce the desired quantity of steel. It must have been so hot in the mills, and it was why many of the men looked so hot and sweaty at the end of their shift. I'm reminded that we begin as raw human beings. Throughout our lives, we are tested. God's people were testing once they left the bondage of Egypt. They were unprepared for what their future would be like. So we read in Exodus, the Lord led them into the wilderness where they were to be tested to see if they could follow the Lord's instructions. He had to remove their slavery mentality and add a mentality of being a chosen and loved people by God. He showed them how He would provide for them and guide them to the promised land. Have you felt as if nothing will change or work out for you? You may be being tested to produce within you the best that God has for you. James tells us, count it all joy when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Now, another version says, for you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. God loves us so much. He does not leave us as we are. He removes those things that keep us from Him and instills within us the character of His Son, Jesus, so we may live a life full of joy, abundant joy. Thanks for tuning in. Now go and set the world on fire.